At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Scott Flipsy. He's of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom and is currently the Senior Advisor and Director East Asia Programs at the U.S. government. Mr. Flipsy has visited Vietnam 7 times since 1991 until now, and he has visited Father Lee 2 times, Reverend Taekwondo, and also Lady Nhân. He's going to talk more about his visits to Vietnam. Thank you.
It's humbling to be here with you today, and an honor. I see so many familiar faces of friends of mine, of my teachers, of people that I work with, of my colleagues. And I want to say I'm honored to be here to speak to you today, and also to encourage your work and the efforts you've made. I've told this story many times, so bear with me if you've heard it before. But I need to let you know that I'm an honorary Vietnamese, even though I don't look like one. In 2007, I was meeting with the Most Venerable Taekwondo, and we were talking about lots of different things, human rights and democracy and religion in Vietnam. And he said, Scott, you know so much about Vietnam, you must have been a Vietnamese in another life. And I said to the Most Venerable at the time, no, I don't know if I am. I'm a Catholic, but I know that in a future life I'm going to be a Vietnamese, and that's why I'm working for human rights and democracy in Vietnam right now. I don't know what else I can say, given you've had a very prominent roster of speakers here today. I want to sort of focus on something else, and I'm doing this on the fly, so bear with me. I think this is a time both of great challenges and hope in Vietnam right now. I think there's hope for change in the future, even though, in my estimation, the next year is going to be very difficult. And I think there will be more human rights challenges and repression as Communist Party members jockey for leadership in next year's sort of party Congress. But I also think that there's hope. And in May, last May, I was in Vietnam, and I met with Leti Kham Non and Win Ben Dai and Father Lee. And I was going to go to a meeting with Prime Minister Zung after I met with Leti Kham Non. And she said to him, you tell the Prime Minister that freedom is universal. Right? You tell the Prime Minister that Leti Kham Non is not going away. Right? That you can put me in jail, you can put Win Ben Dai in jail, you can put Le Khang Din in jail, and many others. But we're going to be here, and there'll be others that come after us. And this is a universal right. And everyone wants more prosperity, right? But prosperity means nothing unless there's freedom. And I think that this is a time where, in Vietnam, that there are many people speaking up for their rights. And here's a story. I was in Son La province, believe it or not. Son La, Khat province, in May. And there was, just the month before, the party secretary in Son La had said, there are no Catholics in Son La. Right? And we met with a room full of about 400 Catholics in Son La, and he was there. And I said to him, Mr. Party Secretary, are there Catholics in Son La? And all of the Vietnamese that were there stood up and cheered and said, yes, we are here. And he said to me, well, maybe I'll rethink my former position. Maybe there are Catholics in Son La. Right? And I I met many people like the Catholics in San La, whether it's Dr. Quay, or it's Taekwondo, or it's the younger generation like Lê Công Dinh and Lê Thị Cẩm Nàn and Nguyen Van Dai. People in Vietnam, the younger generation, knows their rights, understands what the global community expects of Vietnam, and isn't happy solely with greater prosperity, but wants greater freedoms, and they're willing to stay it, and willing to go onto the street, and willing to blog about it, and willing to organize, even at the risk. And I think that is a problem for the future of the communist leaders in Hanoi. The fact that so many people are willing to pay the price to go out for freedom and to sort of organize and to speak about freedom. This is happening in Vietnam. You're important to support this growing trend. And I think it's something that the U.S. government needs to, in my estimation, and there's people like Ed Royce and Chris Smith and Sam Brownback and Congressman Gao who are working for this, right? And others, Loretta Sanchez and Zoe Lofgren, and many others. Right? They're working, but the U.S. government policies and programs need to be on the side of those in Vietnam who don't want just greater prosperity, but also want sort of universal freedoms and human rights. They need our programs, and our leaders need to speak out on behalf of those folks. Because the history of Vietnam as we move forward, the history of Vietnam as with the history of China, will not just be written by the entrepreneurs in the political class, not just by those who want to get wealthy and those who want to keep power, but it will also be written by the people that are seeking greater rule of law, democracy, human rights, and freedom. Right? That's the future of Vietnam, and that's the future of Vietnam that's going to be written right now. Someone's going to clap, so let's clap. So, as others have said today, and I want to reiterate this, there is power in this room. And I want to say it again. There's power in this room if you band together. Right? If you have an agenda, if you know what you want from members of Congress, I believe that the obstacles that we see, whether it's to CPC designation, and let me be blunt here, I was part of getting Vietnam designated as a CPC in 2004. And you know why it happened? It happened because Vietnamese went to President Bush during a political season, 2004, and said, this is what we want. This is the thing we want, and you know what? It happened. Right? So there's power in your voice. There's power in your organization. There's a new administration, and the new administration has many priorities. Vietnam is not yet one of those priorities. But it doesn't mean there aren't people thinking about Vietnam, and the policy's moving along. There's power in this room to set that agenda. If you want CPC, you need to ask for it, and ask for it strongly. If you want the Vietnamese Human Rights Act passed, you need to think about how to get it passed, to strategize with those here in your room and with me and others who know how to get things done in Washington. And we can pass that bill. I think it can be done. So again, I'm honored to speak with you today. I'm honored to work with you. I'm honored to work for Vietnamese who I so admire. And thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
I would like to know whether you have a Vietnamese name you want to be called?
I will accept anything that you offer.
Say a name.
Well, I don't have a name. Give me one.
Quý vị muốn kêu ông bằng tiếng Việt Nam cho tên ổng là tên gì? Nam. It's like Việt Nam. Xin quý vị chào đón ông Nam.